Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and Miniature video. In this video, we're going to be continuing on with our Battle Group 15mm project. Right now, I'm working on building the forces and the terrain for the Lafayette Bridge campaign. I plan to run this game, or a series of games, in NashCon this year. So if you're interested, come down to NashCon, join in the game, and say hello. All right, so I've got some exciting news. The first thing is I got a shipment in here from Old Glory 25s. So I've got some troops in. Also, I got some Plastic Soldier in. And I've got some other miniatures in as well that don't really pertain to this campaign. These are American War of Independence models and some ancient models, and then I've got some decals and flags. Like those flags are for the 100 Years War. They're shield decals, which I didn't know they made until I went looking and I found them. Okay. And then these figures I've had for a while, the American War of Independence. So these don't really pertain to what we're doing here. Now, when I went to get these Command Decision miniatures from Old Glory 25, I also remembered, because back when I used to own a store, I remembered that Old Glory not only had the Command Decision models, but they also had the Berlin or Bust models. And so now the Berlin or Bust models are going to be the larger 25, 28 millimeter, so not usable in my 15mm battle group. But that's not why I got these. I got these for the store. Just got a flak Verling, quad 20 millimeter with crew, all in metal. I'm going to put that together for the store. I think I got a couple of these because I know how popular they are in the bolt action tournaments. I also got a US light truck with, I guess it's got a machine gun on the top. I thought that would be pretty cool. I also got a Whirlwind, if you can believe that. There's a monster of it's got resin and metal parts. That's probably why it's called the WWG. Okay, so it's a Whirlwind. And then I also got a deuce and a half. I thought that would be useful for you bolt action tournament goers. Okay, more importantly though, for this video, if you've never been to any of my project updates, not only do I talk about miniatures I've gotten in, miniatures I've painted, but I also talk about my trials and tribulations that happened throughout the course of my project, hiccups, bumps, stuff like that. But I also talk about, in addition to all that, I talk about new and interesting things that I'm doing for the project as well. Okay, so I haven't opened these two boxes yet. I'm very curious. What we'll do is we'll open these on camera. But what I got was German Grenadiers at Normandy. There's 141 figures in there. That's going to be great. I'm going to have more than enough German figures for the Lafayette Bridge campaign, right? Or am I? Because I'm not sure if they're going to have the types of troops that I'm going to need. It looks like they are, just based on what I'm seeing on the box cover. But I also got in the German heavy weapons, which is going to have the mortars that I needed. There's Panzer Fausts, there's Panzer Schrecks, and there's mortars. And I'm curious to know, and looks like, and there's medium machine guns, which I was going to need. Okay, so we'll take a look at these here in a minute as well. So we got some light machine guns. These look like Germans. Yeah, in Overlord, in Battle Group, your light machine guns can be upgraded to medium machine guns just by adding a bipod. That doesn't sound right. Okay, so it should be a tripod, I would think, right? And then I also got the Renault R35s, because there's 3 of them in this pack. In the campaign book, the skirmish campaign book, there is an attack of 3 Renaults. But in the battle group scenario, which is actually a couple of days after that scenario, there are 2 of these wrecked on the battlefield. And so I needed to get this pack for that. When I played it in 20 millimeter, I couldn't find any Renault R35s. So I actually used Somas, the French Soma, but the Soma is not an R35. So, okay. Now, I was talking about foxholes. Well, I got my 2 foxhole bags in. You can see in the bag, this is the bottom of a foxhole. Here's the tops of the foxholes. It looks like dirt. The smallest one looks like a 2-person hole, like I'd put a guy on each side. There is a very large, like this one. Look at that. That's like for 4 guys. You got 2 there and then 2 there, and then okay. I see, like, that's a perfect size for a foxhole, but it has this other piece attached to it. I probably could use my snippers and separate those foxholes. I could probably also make my own foxholes. But what I'm probably going to wind up doing, and I think they give the exact same foxholes in the US and the German. They just swap out the soldiers that are inside those foxholes. What I think I might have to do is put them on a multi-base, and then well, first of all, they're not going to be moving. The foxholes are going to be sitting right where they're at. So putting them on a multi-base should be no problem. So I've been thinking that. And then if that squad gets moved out of those holes, then I'll just pick those multi-base up and then give them their actual troops, which is what I was going to do anyway. I was thinking I was going to do individual foxholes, but that's not what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to have to multi-base them, and then they'll be in position, and then when the owner decides to move them, I'll just actually give him the actual figures. Okay, and then right here we got paratroopers, US paratroopers, with support and command. So there should be like some bazookas and maybe some mortars or machine guns. I'm not exactly sure what's in this pack, but I'm not worried about it right now. I'm just happy to get in some troops that I can actually start working with. So I'll be able to start working with these guys first, is probably what I'm going to do. But before we get to this, I got a few more things I want to touch on. This video might go on a little while. I'm not sure how far down I can edit it, but we're going to be talking about, we're going to open these up and actually take a look at those. But in addition to that, I'm going to spend some time on my map, and I'm going to spend some time on some terrain that I'm working on. Okay, so as you know, in this area, there is some bocage, and not a terrible amount of it, but there is some. But I want to make enough bocage that I can use throughout the Normandy campaigns and in any other battlefield I might be on, right? So I want to make more than what's needed in the bocage, but maybe not 500 pieces. So I got some pomsicle sticks. Now you can see that these are 6-inch by 3/4 inch. Okay. I think 3/4 inch works really good, which if you didn't know, 3/4 inch is very close to 20 millimeter. I think well, actually they call it 19 millimeter. Okay, so real close to 20 millimeter. So if I make my bocage this big, it should lay good next to roads and in fields and stuff like that. And by making it in 6-inch strips with a rounded edge, I did this. I do my fences and my hedges like this. I've been doing it forever. But making it with rounded edges, it makes it very easy to put two fences at an angle, or, you know, straight, even straight. Because I'll put the fence all the way to the end, and then the other end, and it will look excellent. So there's no need to open this, but there's an actual popsicle stick. Now, I ordered some pink foam, right? And this is 1/2 inch thick, right? So I'm gonna take it, and it's 12 inches across. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my knife. I'm not even gonna bother with a hot knife. I'm just gonna use a regular knife, and I'm gonna cut a strip about 3/4 inch, right? So, and then just cut it in half, and then I'll have a 6-inch strip sitting on top of my popsicle stick. Okay, it'll be a 1/2 inch tall, and it'll be 3/4 inch wide. And then with my hobby knife, what I'll do is I'll shave the edges down, so it will look like a mound, either angled or like this, or rough, or whatever, along the top of the popsicle stick. And then using my water-based spray primers, I'm going to prime it, right? Brown, probably. Just spray it brown. And then I'll go into texturing it. And normally in the past, I would use these 3M scrub pads as my hedges. I would just cut them to length depending on how tall of a hedge I wanted, or how short of a hedge I wanted. I would cut them into strips, and then sometimes I would use a 3M spray glue on them, and then sprinkle flock, and then it will look like a groomed hedge, right? And it also, in the past, what I had done was I had taken these green 3M scrub pads, and I would spray them brown to make it look like the branches inside the hedge, and then sprinkle the green flock on the outside, so that you would see the green flock, but then you would see these brown innards. I know that some people recommend using like steel wool or something like that. I tried steel wool. It doesn't look right. It looks really good. It's good for wild hedges, which, like just wild bushes, great. But it also doesn't look right at a small scale. It's great for like 28 millimeters, making just wild bushes out of steel wool. That's fine. But when you're talking about 15 millimeter, I had to get away from that. And then I discovered, just like 2 nights ago, because I went specifically to order some 3M scrub pads specifically for this project. And I found that they have some of these light brown scrub pads. There's actually 2 of them. One of them is wavy and one of them is straight. And the wavy one looks like, but I didn't want to get it because I was going to have to cut it into strips, and there was going to be wastage, and I hate wastage. But the second one, the one that's straight across, same price, actually, I think it might be even a little bit less expensive. It's made out of a different material. Both of these are made out of natural plant fibers, and uh, one is made out of something and the other one's made out of something else. But the second one, the plant fibers, they still look really good. They both look really good. And I tried to visualize, okay, if I cut that down to size, what is that going to look like? It's going to look awesome. That's just straight up. So I said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to order that. I ordered it. When that comes in, I'm going to be able to use that for my normal hedges. And if I need to, I can always flock them to give them some life, give them some greenness, because they do need to be green. I can include clump foliage in there. I can use them as bushes. I can use them as hedges. Because lichen at 15 millimeter just looks too... It's a great bush, you know, and so I could do lichen hedges and stuff, but I don't want to do that. Okay, so at the top of my bocage, not only is it going to have like this scraggly looking 3M natural wood fiber kind of hedge, it's not going to be just a hedge. I'm going to need to put like grass texture and stuff like that along the side of the berm, because it is a stone berm that has vegetation growing all over it. So I'm going to use a million different, maybe not a million, I probably only have a dozen, but a dozen different flocks on these bocage. Some will be one type, some will be two types, some will have three, and it'll be scattered, random. Some of them will have bushes, some will have flowers, some will have even trees. So I went to Lafier Bridge and looked at the bocage that were currently there, and my belief is the trees that I was looking at were older than 70 years old. Okay, so that means that these trees are the same trees that were there during the war, right? So some of these bocage at the Lafier Bridge were only waist high. It's like a bocage is not always 6 feet tall or whatever. Some of them are very short. And some of them don't have any bushes on them. Some of them are just the mound. Now, because it's 70 years after the war, those bushes could have been cut down, or there might have been bushes on the top, and those have been trimmed through gardening or road, maintenance or whatever. That could have been done. So I can't like use that as accurate. I'm going to put bushes on all my bocage, maybe some gaps here and there, no problem. But there's definitely this one bocage, and to scale, it would be a 6-inch strip. Had like 6 trees growing out of it, right? And these were tall pine style trees. And when I pull the map up, I'll show you exactly where that is on the map. But there's this one bocage had these huge trees growing up out of the top of it. So I'm gonna accurately create that single bocage strip. So I decided I don't have any to scale pine trees. Actually, I do. Now that I'm looking right over there, I'm saying, oh, I got some pine trees. What the hell? I could have used those. That's from back in the day when I used to, yeah, I'm looking right at them right over there. I used to have a huge 15 millimeter army, and I built a lot of terrain for 15 millimeters, and I had these trees, but I only built like half of them, and so there's the box with the other half of them. Wow, that was a big discovery right here on camera. Okay, so I plan to put those pine trees in there, but I ordered some other ones anyway. It's already too late. I already ordered them. And they're going to be, that one bocage is definitely going to be bespoke to this battlefield, but it could be used anywhere. Okay, so now you know how I'm going to do my bocage. I'm going to do the stick, the foam, the trim, the priming, and then I'm going to texture them, obviously, and then I'm going to put plant life on there. Now the trees, I'm just going to stick down inside, you know, because they come with sticks. I'm going to stick it down into the foam, thoroughly coat it with some resin or something so that when it goes down into the foam, it won't move around, it won't pop out, you know. Yeah, so that's that. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to show you these. I ordered these. Yeah, you can see that these sticks are super thin, right? Okay, well, I meant these are probably 10 millimeter. Yeah, they look like they're 10 millimeter. Okay. You know, prime them like a brick color or something like that, like a flat red, off color brick red. And then I can use a magic marker, like maybe a Sharpie felt tip magic marker, and I could draw bricks on there if I wanted to. But that's not what I want to do. So through HobbyLink, I ordered brick paper. I think my brick paper, I'm going to have to take a look because I think HobbyLink back ordered my brick paper. So if they did, then the wall project will have to wait. And when it gets closer to the time, or if I just get bored one night or whatever, I will assemble them, prime them, and then I will draw some bricks on there. It won't be hard, you know. I'll get a straight edge, draw a couple of lines, and then every now and then I'll draw a line up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, these are actually for the bocage, so these would be too wide for the actual walls that I'm planning on making. So I will just use one on the bottom and then put one on the side like so. I mean, it's probably not going to stand upright. I'll just have to hold it with my fingers. Okay, and so now on this, I'm going to have to trim the ends straight up and down. Either that, or I'll make them jagged like they're broken walls. But I think I want to just go straight up and down. And then, once it's constructed, these are 15 millimeter Old Glory figures. And you can see that they're going to work perfectly fine behind that wall. Okay, maybe you can't see that, but... But here you can kind of imagine them being behind this wall, right? I don't know how the focus is going to work on this. Yep, so that's going to be a perfect size wall. And then I've got this guy on a 20 millimeter base, which I'm going to have to adjust and put that on a 3 millimeter base, right? Or 15 millimeter, sorry. Yeah, see, so that's good. This comes up to their waist, maybe a little higher. What I think I'll do is I'll experiment. I'll probably just prime one or two of these, draw some lines just to see what it looks like. Okay, so that's my walls. Part of my bocage, which I can also just make low hedges as well. Everything doesn't have to be a bocage. And the reason why that is because, well, at this battlefield, there are some low hedges and there are some bocage. Okay, so got two more things to do, and then we'll this video will be over. So we're gonna take a look at these plastic models right here, and then I want to show you what I've done with the map. Okay, so I'm super excited about this. I have not opened these yet. You're getting to join me on this adventure. So this just shows the assembly of the mortars and the machine guns. The 120 mortars, ammo assembly. Okay, ammo bearer. There's an ammo bearer. That's cool. In battle group, I don't know if you know this. Now, I think they advertise that these are, yeah, suitable for battle group. So in the battle group rules, if you can get like mortars or machine guns, and then if you want, point wise, you can pay extra for additional ammo ammo bearers or whatever. I won't need that. It gives you the colors you need to paint them. That's great. And there's 4 of the crew serves, and then there's 8 Panzerfaust, 8 Panzer Schrecks. Okay, every one of these sprues should be exactly the same. They are. Okay. Let's see what we got here. We got some... I don't think those are mortar rounds. I think those are like Panzer Schreck rounds in a box. But these are mortars. You got them. That's probably the 80. That's the 120 because it's got the big round plate. That's an arm with an ammo can. I'll have to take a look at that. Okay. Okay, so that guy's an 80 millimeter mortar round. That's a 120 millimeter mortar round. Okay. Nice. Panzerfaust, Panzer Schrecks, medium machine guns on their tripod, ammo loader, Panzer Schreck kneeling, Panzerfaust kneeling. Okay, they're okay. Once I get them primed and started painting, then we'll really see. Panzer Schrecks, I do believe, are in teams. Panzerfausts, I think, are just additional troops that are in the units. I don't think you get bespoke Panzerfausts. Maybe you do. Okay, speaking of these 15 millimeter bases, right? I ordered some 15 millimeter bases from Litco. That looks like a 20 millimeter, you know? Yeah, but I'm putting them on 15s. That looked, I want them thin like that because I want the figure to be center of balance to be lower so they don't tip over or whatever. And I ordered some 1.5 millimeter thick 15 millimeter circles, and when they came in, which they came in just like yesterday, they came in as 3 millimeter thick bases. Okay, so I don't know if you can kind of see that at this distance, but these are my 20 millimeter bases. And these are the ones that I've used normally with my 20 millimeter models, like 1/72 or whatever. And I tried it with some 15 millimeters. And that works okay. And in a pinch, you can actually use a penny, right? Because it's weighted, or you can use a 20 millimeter washer or whatever, which I do have some 20 millimeter washers. But that is just, I think that's too big for the scale of the model. I don't know. So like this is a 2-figure team on a Flames of War base, which is actually just a hair over 30 millimeters. So that tells me that two 20 millimeter bases occupies way more space than the 30 millimeter base here. But if I had these guys individually mounted on 15 millimeter bases, there should be absolutely no problem. Right? That's kind of what I'm getting at. But these are super thick. You can, I don't know if you can see the difference, but that guy is giant, super thick. And so this was a mistake. I notified Litco and I said, hey, these are too big. And he immediately said, okay, we're just going to go ahead and send you your thin bases. Don't worry about sending these back. So that's exciting. I'm happy about that. So if I run out of those other ones, I can always start using some of these thick ones. Let's do a little experiment right here. I'm going to take this guy that's kneeling. Not a standing guy. I'm taking a kneeling. And a prone guy is going to be definitely different. A prone I might need to put on a 20 millimeter, or I might need to put him on a multi-base. Okay, they don't have to be perfectly trimmed. But like if this is a 15 millimeter base and it's a lot lower, yeah, he should be no problem. Yeah, that might actually look a little small for him, right? Whoa, you know. But I don't think there's going to be a problem. And if I had this guy on a 15 millimeter base, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a problem. This guy's awful shiny. I need to hit him with some dull tone, dull coat or whatever. Okay. Okay, awesome. Let's see what we get in this box. Are all these sprues exactly the same? No. Wait a second. They are not. Okay. Okay, those are the same. There's a little bit of variety here. Hang on. That's the same. Okay. All of these are the same. Okay, so this stack is all the same, and this stack is all the same. There's only 3 of these. Okay, my guess is these are kind of different because I see we've got a bazooka. Oh, yeah, wait. These are Germans. Panzerschreck. Some loose Panzerfausts. Okay, that's good. Looks like a radio. Panzerfaust. MP40s. He looks like he would be a loader for the Panzerschreck. MP40s. Got a couple of officers. One with binos and his eyes. One with his hands on his hip. What is he doing? He's looking down, but his pistol is up, and that hat. it looks different than these guys. I like these guys a lot better than this guy. This guy looks a little, I don't know, drunk. This look, he's got like webbing on his helmet. And these guys are just considered grenadiers, right? Okay. Yeah, some of them have webbing, some do not. Okay. Yeah, he looks like he's got a smock on. But then again, grenadiers would, right? They'd have, some of them would have camouflage smocks. Okay, so that's going to give me quite a few officers or squad leaders. And it looks like I'm going to have 3 radio guys. Okay, that's great. Okay, so now, I mean, exceptionally great. Okay, now this is the standard infantry sprue. I'm looking at a machine gun sitting on, looks prone with a sandbag. Okay, he could be the squad light machine gun guy. And here's an ammo bearer with some ammo cans. Rifle, 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 rifle. And then there's a ammo assistant gunner with the ammo can on the ground, loading it. And then this guy's just running, looking, okay, and then we got running rifle, rifle, rifle. But this guy is a machine gunner standing with his machine gun at his, he's like carrying it at a low carry. Okay, so maybe he and he go together, and he go together. And the rest of these are all riflemen. That's great. I mean, just one of these sprues is more than a squad. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys on a sprue, right? And if 3 sprues was a platoon, yeah, platoon, then that's all the grenadiers I'm going to need, plus the mortars and officers and everything else. Okay, so I think I've got everything I'm going to need for my German grenadier force for Lafayette Bridge. Now, that's another thing. Plastic Soldier makes some spray paints. I haven't tried any of them. In the comments, let me know if you've tried them and are they good. I see that they also have some Vallejo series paint sets. As you can tell, I use Vallejo quite a bit. But I don't normally buy paint sets. I buy individual colors. I'm going to have to take a look to see if I've got all these colors, which I think I do. Black, gray. I might not have. That's for the boots. Okay, never mind. All right, so let's just set this off to the side and let me show you what I've been working on the map. All right, guys. Now, I am super excited to bring you my map. I took a look at the Lafayette Bridge map in my battle group D-Day book. You know, this has a Lafayette Bridge map, and this Skirmish Campaigns has a Lafayette Bridge map as well. This actually has 3 maps. One of them is, I don't know, can you see my pointer? Yeah, one of them is this area of the battlefield where the Americans are coming in from this side, and they actually, that's the first scenario. They have to take a farmhouse or whatever it is that's right in this general area. Might be off map. And then the second scenario is they have to actually attack. What is this? What did I do there? There we go. They have to. Yeah, the first battle is a scenario where they're taking. They call it the advance to Lafir. So there's a battle up here, and then in the second scenario, they actually. I don't remember if they actually have the town or if they attack into the town. I think they have to attack into the town and then across this causeway into this farm complex. And then in the third scenario, they're considered to be consolidated over here in this farm complex. And the Germans counterattack down this causeway with like the 3 tanks that I was talking about, the R-35s. And then and all that transpires on D-Day and D-Day +1, where, or actually all that transpires on D-Day, I do believe. And then the fourth scenario, which is the one I'm working on, is which I might or might not work on. I might write my own scenario or whatever to encapsulate the entire battle. But the fourth one happens on June 9th, which is like 3 days later, where the Americans need to take this town over here. And so they start here and then have to fight their way back across the causeway. It's so disappointing. Now, through my reading of the history of this area, the Americans, when they attacked through the causeway to attack this town, they did leave like a platoon or something like that behind to defend the town here. But they got pushed out and by the tanks or whatever, and the majority of them had to retreat back to the friendly area over here. And then once the officers in this area consolidated their troops, which is a mix of gliders and paratroopers, they decided that they were going to take the town back. And there was like an artillery barrage that hit this entire area over here. And then they decided to attack across over here. And then once they finally took this town, they again left some troops behind while they pushed on to go take another town or something like that, I think. And I think the road, one of these two roads, either this road here, well, this looks like the main road, right? One of these roads, the N15, I think is the highway. One of them leads off to St. Mary-Glees. I think it's this way over on this side. But we'll figure it out. Okay, so this is what I did. I went to Google Maps. I took a photo or a screenshot of the area of the Fear Bridge, which is located right here. And this is the causeway. And all of this area in here is the low ground that actually became flooded. So then what I did was I cropped and turned so you can see the up here, you can see where it says restaurant. That is the top of the screen from there. That's where it says restaurant. So that's straight across. And then when I cut it and I twisted it, I wanted this road to go parallel with the table, right? And this is going to be a 4x6 table. Okay, so far so good. And then on the next screen, I went through and let's see what I got on my next screen here. Okay, so I took and I broke it down into squares. 1 foot, these are 12-inch squares for a 4x6 table. I could have gone bigger or smaller or wider or narrower or whatever to get that 4x6 effect. So I said to myself, how big do I want this map to be? How big do I want an inch to be? How far do I want the ranges to reach out? And how do I want to equate it to the battlefield and all that? That's what I was telling myself. We're not going to change the ranges in the game, and we're not going to change the movement and all that stuff in the game, because the movement and the ranges and all that work out just fine for 15 millimeter models and 20 millimeter models, actually. So I decided I was just going to say 1 inch equals 15 meters of distance. Okay, so that's not exactly 1-to-1 with the miniature, because the miniature is about is pretty close to half an inch, let's just say 15 millimeters, close to it's 3/5 of an inch, but let's just call it half an inch. So an inch would only be about 12 feet, right? Well, no, I'm not going to do 12 feet. I'm doing 15 meters. So so it's about a 3-to-1 on the ground scale, but who cares, right? It's not going to affect anything, I don't think. I think it'll all work out in the wash. So I said, okay, self, 6 feet at 15 meters per inch is how far, right? So so I took 15 meters times 72 inches, so 1080p. No, so 1080, so just over 1 kilometer. So 1 kilometer 80. So I took my Google map and I measured out, I took this map here and I measured out how far 1.08, or like just over a kilometer, is. And that's how I got to this map. This, from this point there to this point there, is 1080 meters. Okay. And then I just went ahead and said, okay, 1080 meters, let's just break it down into 4x6s. And so basically, what does that mean? I got rid of my calculator. There we go. So if I take 12 inches, 1 square, times 15 meters, that means each of these squares here is 180 meters. That looks pretty right? Great. Okay, and so then from there, I figured out, okay, what was not there during World War II? Well, like this area, this little village town office area was not there, and this area was not there. And so what I did was I added some covers. Boop, there. So I transformed the map to get rid of the roads that should not be there, and the buildings that should not be there. So I got rid of those. I probably should have got rid of these as well, but I'm not worried about it too much. And then I said, what about this flooded area? Okay, because during World War II, the Germans broke a dam or something that caused these crops in this area to flood, because what they were trying to do as a defensive measure was to prevent the movement of the Allied forces, which it worked, but not well enough. So what I did was I added a flood area to my map. Now, there is a river right here. This is the river Merderet. I call it the Murderet, but it's really the Merderet, M-E-R, but I put M-U-R. Hey, you know how it is. Now, having been on this road here, there is a slope. There is like a little river, a little pond stream that runs right along through there. You can't see it, but there is one. But there is a definitive slope. It's probably about 6 feet or something like that, that runs down from this road down on both sides of this road. There's kind of like a little parking, what do you call it? Like a rest stop kind of thing going on right here. And I believe that these buildings are over 70 years old. They might or might not be. I'm not a good judge of that, but they appear to be World War II era buildings. So I bet you this farm complex didn't change that much. So that's good. Some of these buildings over here are brand new, and some of them are old, but there's not that many in there. There's probably like half a dozen buildings. It's a very small, I wouldn't even call it a village. I would call it like just, I don't know what I would call it. It's, I mean, how many people do you have to have a village? Because it's really not that much. This building right here is the church. That is the today it's a memorial to the 82nd Airborne, but there is a church right here. This is like a little farm barn area, which probably manages all of this. But there's, on this side of the church, there's a cemetery. And I'm going to model all of this for my game, right? These are going to be 1-inch tiles. I've decided I'm going to do a tile. Okay. I decided I am going to do tiles. I'm going to do 1 foot by 1 foot tiles. I honestly did consider 2 by 2 tiles, but then or even 1 by 2 tiles probably would be okay. And then I would just lay a number of them down. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do 1 by 1 tiles, and they're all going to be, I believe they're all going to be just green top, nothing else. Right? I'm just going to put, I'm going to get a sheet of grass. This was suggested by one of my YouTube viewers. He says this is the way he does it, and it works great. So I'm going to take his direction from this, and I'm going to experiment and see if it works. I got some 1 foot foam, and then I'm going to put this grass paper, like from model railroading. I'm just going to lay it on top of the tiles, and obviously going to have to cut it into 1 inch. I say 1 inch, 1 foot squares. And so everything will be just solid green. Now I might go through, I don't know if I want to bespoke it or not, but like this tile and probably this tile as well, I'm not going to make. And these two I'm not going to make. These 5 I'm not going to do anything with. And I'm probably not going to do anything with this tile either. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this foam and I'm going to cut it so that this piece and this piece will be cut out of these 2 tiles. And I was thinking that I could take this piece right here, or maybe this piece, and put it right there, right? So I could save a tile, like use this tile for this L shape, and then this little corner piece I could put over here as a corner piece. That's what I'm thinking. Or this corner piece, because I can maybe make this long piece here or this and cut it down and make it, it doesn't have to be exact, right? But then like this piece here is going to have this empty piece. Maybe I can use this empty piece in that corner. So I'm going to try to, and then I'm just going to use like 1 tile, whatever I cut here as a slope will be discarded probably. I don't think I'll be able to use it. And then I don't know if I'm going to bother with this little corner piece here. I might. I don't know. Because I could easily just go straight down because it's a wargaming table and who cares, right? But I might do it just to give it a little bit more accuracy because I'm that way. I'm anal about that. But then like imagine this tile right here, right? I'm gonna have a big huge chunk that I'm not using, and I'm only going to use this little piece right here. So this chunk here could always be something else somewhere else. So I'm going to save. Now I'm going to lay a blanket down underneath the tiles. Now those blankets, I could I thought about this. I could put just something under the water area and make it look kind of marshy, watery or whatever. I don't really need to do that. I'm going to use my normal blanket, right? I'm going to lay it down, and I'm just going to tell the guys in the low ground it's marshy, right? And then I'm just going to, through this area here, I'm just going to lay down my flexible rivers. And if I have to make a flexible river corner there and maybe a sharp turn there and there, then that's what I'll do. But that's, you can see the water, how it's kind of glossy. But yeah, I'm going to lay down my flexible rivers right there. And then this will actually be low ground, all the way up to the river. But this is actually raised over here. So the low ground will be like here and then right along that. So this is going to be a little hill because the flexible river is going to go down in the low ground right here. And then when I lay my bridge, it'll be from high ground to high ground, because this is going to be sloped down to the river on this side, and then the rest of it's just going to be low ground. But on this little area here, it's going to be sloped down on all three sides, basically. Okay, if that makes sense. All right, now the causeway here it's got trees along there, but it also has some bushes and hedges and stuff like that, but not bocage. It's basically just scatter foliage. And so what I'll probably make is some using popsicle sticks or whatever, I'll probably make some hedges with some trees in them, and then I'll just lay them next to my roads. I do plan to use my flexible roads to model these roads here. Now these little trails and stuff, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, or if I'm even going to bother with that. I'm going to be laying bocage down, and those would be dirt roads. Those would be muddy anyway, so why bother even modeling them as roads? So I don't know. I could, because I'm kind of sort of making it bespoke, I could actually just draw paint-wise or flock or texture the tiles, and then make these tiles specifically for Lafire and not generic. But the square tiles I kind of want to make generic so that I can use them in other battlefields. But I don't know if I really care, because it's going to be so inexpensive that I might just make it very bespoke. I don't know. So, okay, now, okay, see this row of hedges right there, that bocage thing? That is a fairly tall bocage. I'm going to say over 6 feet tall, and it's full of trees. Those are trees that, and you can see the shadow of the trees, right? These are these giant, humongous trees. That's why I said they're probably more than 70 years old. This was probably here originally in the original battle. So and it looks like it's about 6 inches. So I'm going to definitely model that. The rest of these are all going to be they're going to be bocage. Like there is a row of bocage right along here. You can't really tell from this overhead picture, but this area here has bocage, or maybe, well, hold on, maybe it's this area right here. I think both of them actually, but specifically this area right here and this area right here has a very low bocage, maybe 3 feet, maybe 4 feet. I mean, you can see right over it, and there's no bushes on the top of it. But I bet you in World War II that was still low dirt, right? Because they haven't added to bocage in years. So the dirt level was probably about 4 feet. But I bet you there was bushes on top of that. I bet you there was. I bet you that was cleared, and a lot of the same reason why. I mean, I don't know. I didn't talk to any of the locals, but the bocage, or not bocage, like bushes in my neighborhood, if they're at a road intersection, they'll cut them down. That way, when you pull up to the road intersection, you can look to see if there's oncoming traffic. And I bet you, bottom dollar, that this area was cleared so that if you were on a road and you came up to this road intersection, you could see down this road to see if there was oncoming traffic so that you could pull out. So for safety reasons, I bet you they cleared that. And probably this one as well because of this road. I believe that to be true. But like this is definitely solid bocage, and this is bocage here. This is probably, I would consider, like a little wooded orchard area. And then there's a few buildings in here. There's the church and the church grounds right in here, and then a farm. There's like a hotel over in one of these areas, and this is a private thing, but I do remember that, I'm trying to remember, but I do believe that it was public, that you could go in and look around, and that they had like a gift shop or something like that in there. Now on this side of the road, right here, there's like a monument for the 82nd, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm not going to model that because it would not have happened yet. And there's also a monument over in this area to the 82nd. I do think that there's like a little monument to a foxhole to some officer, maybe Gavin. I'm not sure exactly who it was. But yeah, there's a monument there. There's a monument there. Yeah. I bet you there was a lot more trees in the day in this area, but maybe not. I don't know. Being that it's June, would the would the crops be high or would they be low? I could always fill in some of these areas with my crop fields, I made those for 28 millimeter models, but would they work with 15s? Probably. I don't know. Maybe not. So we'll figure that out. Okay, so yeah, I'm super happy about that. I got all these. Yeah, that's as far as I got with the map. But yeah, I know where I need to make bocage. I know how long they need to be. I know where the roads are. I know where the flooded area is. This flooded area is going to be my tablecloth, and then these tiles will be laid on top of the tablecloth so that you would see the tablecloth underneath. Yeah, so as I progress, we'll figure it out. All right, guys, thanks for coming out. Now you know where I'm at. I'm up to date. Litco is sending me those 15 millimeter discs. When I get those, I'm going to jump into painting maybe these Germans. I'm debating on whether or not, I think I'm going to start painting them anyway. I think I'm going to assemble some Germans and put them on popsicle sticks. Or I've even thought about this too. I thought about painting them on the sprue. I've heard a lot of people had a lot of success painting their models on their sprues. I've never done that. I've never done that. Especially like when they have their head attached. I could trim that off. I could definitely cut that center part of the sprue off and then get to the top of their heads. And who cares about the bottom of their feet? And then I wouldn't have to attach them to a popsicle stick. I would basically just be holding the sprue while painting. I think I'm going to try that. And so I'm going to start painting some Germans. I'm going to get them done. And by the time I get them done, I'll probably get those 15mm discs in. And then I can start basing them up. And we'll see where we go. All right, guys. Thanks for coming out and checking out this video. And I will see you next time.